Hey guys, how you doing? This is Paul from Paul and Tech, and I finally got my hands on the brand new HTC One M9. And today I'm going to be telling you some pros along with some cons about the new flagship. And I did this a while back with my LG G3, and you guys seem to really enjoy it. That's actually my most popular video, and so hopefully you guys will like this one too. Enjoy! So starting out right away with the Pro, we have possibly the best thing about the phone, and that is the design and the build quality. Now, HTC is definitely known for their superb hardware with their flagships, starting with the M7 a couple years ago, and they've definitely stuck with it this year with the M9. It hasn't really changed in design from previous generations, and if you take a look at the front of the M9 next to the M8, it's almost indistinguishable, but hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It still has that killer all-aluminum body, and this year they even managed to include expandable storage with a microSD card slot, so if you have a lot of pictures, movies, or just media in general on your phone, then you won't have to worry about running out of space. Also, the home button has been moved from the top of the phone to the side, where it can be accessed much more easily and naturally. And if I had to have one complaint, it would be that it is a little bit on the slippery side, but this isn't really too big of a deal because I normally just put a case on my phone anyways. Now for our first con, we have the camera. And this was one of the biggest disappointments this year, and it just seems like HTC has not been able to figure out their cameras over the last few years. We used to see the ultra pixel camera, which was decent, it performed pretty well in low light, but it just didn't have the resolution to back it up, and we see it return this year on the front facing camera, which is fine and good for selfies, but on the back we have quite a mess. Now on paper, it looks like it would be a beast of a camera. It features 20.7 megapixels, 4K video at 30 frames per second, 1080p at 60 frames per second, and 720p at 120 frames per second, but it still performs horribly. The exposure is always way off, the colors are always washed out, and video is just decent at best. Every now and then it can get some good shots, but for the most part it is just garbage and really proves that megapixels definitely do not guarantee a good camera. For Pro number 2, we have the HTC Boom Sound speakers, and this has been sort of a trademark in the HTC One series lineup. Front-facing speakers really just make so much sense, and some phones have actually caught on, and we're starting to see it in more and more flagships this year, like the Moto X and the Nexus 6. This year, HTC has partnered with Dolby Audio, which is basically a software enhancement, and you can switch between theater mode, which gives you louder sound overall and is designed for more like movie and video playback, and then music mode, which I normally just leave it on. It's a bit quieter, but it's still plenty loud enough, and this emphasizes more low-end tones for a little bit more bass. Now the speakers are crisp, clear, and powerful, and they're obviously the best speakers you can find in any smartphone, and if you are a big music person or watch a lot of videos on your phone, then this is the phone for you. Con number 2 is the bezel, and this might not seem like too big of a deal to some people, but it really bugs me because it is one of the only design flaws on the whole device, and it just really takes away from the screen. I know that it has to be there for things like the display drivers and other stuff, but that still doesn't justify the fact that its bezels are definitely much larger than its competitors, and if other companies are able to make it work, HTC should be able to as well. Here's a render that someone made pre-release of the phone, and I was pretty psyched when I saw this because it just looks so much better without that little black bar at the bottom of the display. For the final Pro, we have the performance. The M9 is lightning fast. No matter what I throw at it with gaming, watching videos, multitasking, scrolling through the home screen, I just cannot get it to slow down or even stutter. Inside we see an octa-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 810 processor, 3GB of RAM, and it also helps that it is a 1080p display instead of a 2K display because it just doesn't have as many pixels to push. All of this is running under Android 5.0 Lollipop with an HTC Sense 7 skin, and it looks beautiful with silky smooth animations, and I think a good word to describe it would be fluid. Now wrapping it up with con number 3, we have the battery life. And at first, I thought it was a great choice for HTC to stick with the 1080p display instead of bumping it up to 2K, because I thought we were going to get some killer battery life, but I was pretty disappointed with my screen on time. And I'm not a crazy heavy user, but I do use my phone a bit more than the average person, and I was only able to get around 3 hours of screen on time. And many times it died before I even had time to get home and charge it. I guess this isn't terrible, but with the supposedly battery-saving Snapdragon processor and the 1080p display, I was definitely expecting a bit more, and I can't even imagine how bad it would be if it had a 2K display. So there you guys have it. Those are pretty much my 3 main pros and 3 main cons of the M9. Now, I like doing videos like this because I like to sort of give both sides of the story. You know, every phone isn't perfect, they have their pros and cons, and knowing those can help you decide whether you really want to buy the phone or not. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, maybe share it with somebody who's looking into getting the M9, and don't forget to subscribe for some more content coming soon. Thanks.